I think he was pretty vocal early in the year about the way that he felt their offense needed to be operating at a higher level, about the ball needing to spread more. And, he did bring up that he had only gotten a couple of shots in a few games there, but he was kind of right. Like, the offense wasn't clicking the way it needed to be.
We did get a little bit of maybe some Suns news, or at least some rumors, speculation. Honestly, it feels like a no-brainer at this point, but whatever, we'll talk about it. So the Athletics' Kelly Iko wrote, quote, free agent Eric Gordon is 50-50 on a return to Phoenix, according to a source close to the veteran guard, but is also interested in a Rockets reunion. I don't think this one really surprises me, to be honest with you. Of all four guys who have player options this year, Eric Gordon being the most questionable doesn't surprise me at all.
No, I think he was pretty vocal early in the year about the way that he felt their offense needed to be operating at a higher level, about the ball needing to spread more. And, he did bring up that he had only gotten a couple of shots in a few games there, but he was kind of right. Like, the offense wasn't clicking the way it needed to be. So I think he was very excited when he first agreed to sign with the Suns. We got to talk to him in Summer League at Vegas, and I don't think this year planned out the way he or a lot of us expected it would. So it's not entirely surprising. It's going to be a vet minimum anywhere else as well. So it's not like he's losing or making a ton of money by doing this, but
maybe
not
he just
ideal.
Feels like he's in a better spot.
Well, it's not ideal if you can improve on that spot, but a lot of people were hard on EG, and I felt like for a vet minimum, he came in, he knocked down threes, he spread the floor, he did what you needed him to. He just, he had injury problems, and honestly, he probably had to play too large of a role compared to what you would want out of a guy.
That's how I feel. Like, sometimes, like, I know EG pissed us off a lot this season. There were a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like he was asked to do more than probably we should have asked him to do in a vet min role. And I feel like for what he gave us, for what we were giving him.
Yeah, EG was all right. He was pretty neutral for me this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had good moments and he had really bad moments. And I think the bad moments were because he was not doing what he was brought here to do. I think the bad moments were, hey, man, you're here to shoot the ball. Don't put the ball on the ground. Don't try to go to the rack. Don't try to get the free throw
that
line.
Part was frustrating.
Right? So I think that was my disconnect with him. But I will say he's still a vet minimum guy. He can still make some money. So if EG's sitting around and he's saying, the worst thing you can do as a basketball player is be somewhere where you're not 100% sure they want you to be there, right? And I think in that scenario, he's sitting down and he's like, you know what? I know I'm on a vet minimum, but I'm sure there's a handful of teams that give me the same vet minimum. Can I kind of scour the market a little bit and see if there's a better fit for me as opposed to just coming back to come back, not knowing with a new coaching staff, with Coach Bud, how's he going to be used, a whole new team that's going to be put together as far as vet minimums and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised by this, and this does feel like he's going to opt out. To me, this feels like he's going to see, like he said he was interested in a Houston reunion. I wouldn't be shocked there.
Yeah, I was 50-50 on Eric Gordon coming into this, but if you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. This team needs people that want to be here, that want to succeed in Phoenix, that want to take the bench role seriously on that vet minimum and either prove themselves or win a title at the twilight of the end of their career. They don't want a guy that's talking about what shots he's getting or those kind of things as an eighth man, in those kind of situations. It's making poor basketball decisions on whether to shoot or whether to drive. If he leaves, I'm glad I'll never have to see one of those jump hesitation pass things that he would do, or driving to the hoop and throwing it into the bottom of the rim. I'm good without having to see that anymore.
I will say, though, as much as people, like, I genuinely am surprised about the kind of concern over him driving. That was something that he was doing the last few years. It's something we talked about when he came in, the bully ball drives that he does. He did it in Team Bahamas right before he came to the Suns. I get that his finishing wasn't great this season, but like, if Eric Gordon leaves and if you have to replace him, you need a guy that is going to pull the trigger, because as much as people are saying like, oh, he didn't pull the trigger enough, he was still third on the team in 3-point attempts per game, despite being in a bench role and playing fewer minutes than a lot of the guys. So like, in Mike Budenholzer's system where you need to shoot threes, Eric Gordon is the guy that would make sense if he did come back. And if he leaves, you're going to have to find somebody that is going to let those fly.
Stephen Weiss in the chat had it right. He said, I guess his heart was never in Phoenix, even when he was in Phoenix.
No, what a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, he was third. You know, he was third in shots, but we didn't shoot many, right? We didn't shoot nearly enough. So, but you're right, G.
So imagine how bad it would have been if he wasn't third.
Yeah,
we would have been crying every night.
Yeah,
just every other night.
Or imagine how much better it would have been if he didn't try to drive so much and took more. No, I mean, you can listen.
But that's part of his game, though.
That is part of his game, G, and I get it. I just don't think it's a strength anymore. I think back in the day when EG used to do that, it was different. But yeah, I just again, EG's a good enough player that if he comes back, I'm not going to be mad.
Ted makes a good point though. D. Lee taking EG's minutes, I think
possible.
We forget that Damion Lee was a hell of a 3-point shooter.
Yes.
The previous season, and if he comes in and even is close to what he was, he could play that role and play it with a different demeanor. Is that fair enough to say? So
yeah. You hope he's healthy. Obviously, that's the biggest thing after missing a year. But if he can get back to that, then yeah, absolutely.